We are alive, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tio and the Arcane Bear. The market is beautiful today. Yeah, we've had a really nice, strong bull market. And we're going to be taking a look at all things altcoins today. Now, I wanted to, I just wanted to, riff and rant like I like to. And to start to do that, we're actually going to go in and we're going to start with Bitcoin. Just because it's kind of our North Star, it acts as our collateral layer for a lot of this stuff. So I like to keep a close eye on it, just to make sure I know what it's doing. Anyways, we're right around the top of our current trading range. Now, we've been here for quite some time. Let's see, approximately 24 days. We've been kind of riding around the top of our trading range here, and anytime we see an area of stagnation, it usually means a change is coming quite quickly. Now, in the bear den, we've been looking at this inverse head and shoulders, which actually looks like a very strong potential. Nice through the trading range, inverse head and shoulders. And there's a few ways to kind of look at that. Number one, we can kind of highlight this bull flag here into the spring, a noticeable supply coming in. You had a nice breakout, and then this is, I think, the backup phase, and often where we're going to see that right-hand shoulder. We've seen this a few times now, both in KNC and Band, I believe, before they broke out. So here is KNC. So here is KNC, a very similar inverse head and shoulders through the box. So here is your inverse head and shoulders. Here is your trading range, and then your subsequent SOS, LPS, and then SOS coming out of KNC, Kyber network here as well. So I like that trade, that type of mentality. So it looks like we're going to have strength in the rest of the market. And we've seen that in Ethereum as well. Ethereum had a nice quick turnaround, a retest of its trading range. Very strong action, which was nice to see. This original shakeout had me a little perplexed, but here a nice back test of only 1500, which is great. So and I believe we're in the kind of final backup phase for Ethereum, something like this before it goes probably a little mental. Now, these are probably the last parts of this bull market that are super exciting. So yeah, I'm just being patient with a lot of my plays and just watching everything kind of grow on a day-over-day basis. Avalanche has jumped up to around the $32 mark, which is nice to see, holding right at its trend and resistance line. A long time coming for Avalanche, which is, it's always good, I think, too, if we know that there's big amounts of accumulation still taking place. Big shakeouts, it just means that the supply is being locked up into stronger and stronger hands. So I'm quite excited to see, again, Avalanche kind of really cuddling up against this long-term trend line as well. And I think once we get above that, we're probably going to see some pretty quick action here. I'm a big long-term focus on venture capital now and where we are in the markets. Two kind of key fundamental things. More than trading, just accumulating more of the venture capital, like whether it's in equity, seed, or on the secondary open market. That's what's worked the best and with the least amount of effort and energy, so I can just continue to read, write, research, and talk, some of my favorite things to do. So I've been accumulating more Avalanche along the way on a day-over-day basis. Not tons every day, but enough just to kind of fill out this area. I'm feeling more and more positive about that every day. Band saw a nice big jump up into Band this morning. Again, kind of breaking through the regression lines. For those of you that have been with the Arcane Bear family for quite some time, you'll recognize that I like using these regression lines, but I wanted to draw them in here for Band, mostly because of this channel here. If sometimes we use certain tool sets for very particular types of charts. This reminds me of what Ethereum was doing back in March, April, May 2020. Just this kind of reaccumulation after decline with the breakout and the test. So I think Band is going to have a nice big explosion. Kind of, again, the finality of the market is most likely, in my mind, where we're at on the next kind of curve here, with maybe just that peak out, just to be like, haha, see, it wasn't totally over, because it always loves to do that as well. And stable, I've been on just an accumulation range for a lot of these guys. Just anything within the box for me was good. I usually go over a day basis, so that as I see my trade going in the proper direction, I keep increasing that position. KNC worked out really well for us here too. Again, this is where we saw that inverse head and shoulders. This went out to the private group. Again, here SOS and LPS, and look how the LPS can kind of fake you out. Comes right back down to where the trade broke out. Again, this is just trying to shake out weak hands before they go for that final little lunge forward. That way, whoever's at the top selling is them. Usually, that's what they're looking for, or the composite operator as much as possible. FTT into its breakout here again. I think what we're witnessing is a nice spring SOS and then phase C. So I think we just entered phase E here. Phase D. And are about to start phase E for FTT. So I'm super stoked about that. I'm long FTT token. Anyways, I really like FTX as well. Go to arcanebear.com/FTX and sign up for the best exchange ever. Don't just because you should do what's good for you. Synthetics is another one where I've been kind of playing around with. Again, this is kind of a remake of the regression and this widening megaphone pattern. We've gone over how I like the megaphone pattern to generally have a bit more time in it, usually months, but they still have been seeming to work out on these shorter time frames. There's the downside is we've had a lot of breakthroughs where they come right back up. So we'll use flow as an example. It broke through the bottom of the trading range, through the bottom of the widening megaphone pattern, and it has now come back up to the top of the support and resistance line. So we've seen that a few times, both on Balancer and Synthetics. So when I'm following a bunch of these right now, again, I've just been building positions. I've been accumulating more and more on the secondary open market because I have a kind of a range that I would just like to leave the market for the rest of the run with, and then we'll hash that out once we get into some blazing highs. But this all looks like a relatively safe entry. This still looks like accumulation to me, and that's really all I want to know. I'm not making any extraordinarily leveraged plays right now. Just from what we've been able to do with our new motto of Wu Wei and making really sound long-term investments in the venture capital space has paid off in orders of magnitude over and over and over again. So that's become the primary focus of the portfolio thesis. Also driven by crisis investing, which was a huge lesson for me, and I will forever be grateful for the pandemic for that one. If there is something to be grateful for the pandemic with. So I think we're going to see a nice breakout into the backup phase for Synthetics as well. And then I think we're going to see what Solana just did, where if we go to the 6 hour, this is another one. Again, I've been a little busy, so my posts have been short. I've been actually giving them to you guys to try to help do some of the homework with me. But here with Solana, again, we can see this kind of widening megaphone pattern. We hold around one of the major or minor resistant support and resistance lines, and then this kind of this nice little jump across creek backup phase, and then the first start of I think the next cycle, which is going to come in really quickly. Almost all across the board, we're seeing bullish signals. 1 inch has just jumped back up across the creek as well, which is nice to see. And GRT, I'm a little weary because there's so much in the open market for GRT. I'm not heavy in this position. I definitely have more 1 inch than I have GRT at this moment, but that's a different story. Kava, again, it's kind of this inverse head and shoulder through the trading range we've seen here. Again, not the cleanest cuts, but definitely visible. So we don't normally pattern trade, but when we're watching these kind of widening megaphone out of the back patterns, they're consistent and they repeat. So even though they're kind of new to me, they've obviously paid off. In band KNC, as we kind of went over earlier today, they are very valuable plays. I think KNC is the one that's the furthest ahead in terms of its growth right now. And if you look how KNC kind of had this giant SOS LPS period, SOS LPS, SOS LPS, SOS, and just kind of continues here. I think that the next blowout moment is that face melter, because these are 40 to 50% gaps in up and down, right? Up 50%, down 50%, up 50%, down 50%, up 50%. And a lot of people, don't really notice these big gains. There's a 50% gain in Kyber network over the last 15 days, right? So you just kind of get thrown around in the portfolio here. But we've been accumulating KNC, BAN, and Kyber network since these back in January when we started to first see this breakout of the bottom trading range, and these consistent SOS and LPS patterns that kind of drag you through the mud if you're not used to it. That's for sure. I wanted to also finish by going, over flow. Again, I just like this pattern. We've seen this evolve a few times. For flow, we're right up around the track. Dot is another one I'm quite excited about because we just have this beautiful pattern taking place. We had here's our nice spring. We got primary supply, very similar to our primary shakeout. Looks great. We see the nice jump across the creek into the again, and this is where this widening megaphone pattern has started to show some really unique data points, is the way we move around the minor, let's call it the minor or the lower portion of the megaphone, or the point of resistance, the higher point of the megaphone. These have been extraordinarily powerful signals. So I think DOT is probably right around the corner from a nice explosion as well. And then let's see. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Today. I really am excited. The portfolio's just been doing so well. This new kind of thesis-driven focus has been giving me a lot more time to just kind of sit and meditate. I was loving the breeze of the kind of cool, fresh jungle this morning as I was sitting down. And I want to focus on that stuff because it's been the most financially rewarding, is to follow that direction. Which is what you want to do, right? Where am I getting the most amount of result for the least amount of effort? And clearly, time and time again, this has been where the portfolio does the best. Is great research, both technical and fundamental, make investments, and then just basically continue to lean into that thesis, and then wait for, start at the crisis. Like, that's kind of where everything starts. Everything starts in the peak moment of fear, because every moment after that peak moment of fear is a step closer towards euphoria. And we are definitely well on our way to euphoria. Again, just as DOT for an example, from the beginning of 2021, we're up 750%, and we're talking about seeing maybe another growth leg up, which is just crazy. So because of that, I want to be a little cautious as well, because this is where all of a sudden this can become upthrust, and we can see a breakdown and just total disintegration of price, right? So we want to be very careful, because these kind of laugh stages can turn around very quickly. For now, everything looks bullish in my opinion, but I'm going to keep a close eye over the next 48 hours, because if we start to see breakdowns, I'm going to be changing a little bit of that thesis. But nonetheless, only the thesis will change, which is how much am I going to continue to accumulate in this area. Currently, I think it's bullish, so I've been accumulating more. But if that changes, I won't accumulate more. We'll just sit and wait until we see that kind of peak fear moment come in again. Anyways, this tea with the Arcane Bear. Remember to follow us on the social channels down below. Thank you guys for supporting us today. I was a little bit off kilter the last 2 weeks, just kind of working on stuff, trying to follow the Wu way. That's my new kind of guiding light. So thank you guys all for being supportive during that process. Oh yeah, one last thing I kind of want to go over. I should just do this anyways. If we go back here, we see a continual decrease of the Bitcoin miner net position. I told you guys I would update you with these things when they kind of change. And miners have been day over day holding Bitcoin. This will likely also, again, kind of line up with that one kind of last step, final bull scenario that we see taking place in the markets right now. So we'll keep an eye on that. Ultimately, I think we've got that one last leg up into August, probably December. And then, yeah, I don't know how far down we'll come. It probably really depends on how high up we go. Maybe we only go to $120,000 on Bitcoin or something. Like I say, only, like, it's not ridiculous that it might do that. But anyways, keep that in mind. We do see a decrease in the open liquid supply going onto the market. So that could usually leads into a volatility on the open selling market. We see, I think, Bitcoin's for sale at $68,000. Yeah, I went over 1 inch a little earlier. Again, I've been accumulating more and more 1 inch in the play here. This whole auction was this whole range since the 15th. This area here I've been accumulating in. Just kind of a stepping stone accumulation pattern, because this looks bullish to me. I mean, all of this looks bullish to me. And I'm just trying to find general exposure at this moment, because we've got enough collateral to cover all of our side points. So anyways, we'll leave it at that. Thank you guys all for joining us today. Remember, follow us on the social media down below. Give us a thumbs up if you've liked this content. Stay with the Arcane Bear. Thank you all for joining us, and I'll be back again soon. I'm actually kind of think I might do a vlog. Maybe we'll do some music stuff. It'll be fun. We'll have a good time together, guys. See you soon. Boom.